I'm Diana Pierce.
And I'm John Bachman for Paul Majors. Coming up tonight on News 11, ousted Human Rights Commissioner Johnson defends herself on theft charges.
Police swoop in on alleged bootleg liquor operation.
A fuel spill in western Wisconsin brings workers out to investigate damage.
And some big little babies get a new home on their way to freedom.
News 11 is next.
I'm George Latimer. Let's talk about the governor's mishandling of his Department of Human Rights. For 2 years, the department has been in turmoil. 4 lawsuits have been filed. Half the employees have left. Back in May, he knew of the abuse of public funds. And yet, once again, Rudy Perpich did nothing. It took a television investigation story to get action. When I'm governor, I will stay home and mind the store.
Vote September 9th.
Hot-footed back to school at Fitness Footwear. The hot shoes, hot at the right price. Low. Get them on the hot at Fitness Footwear.
Every Audi 5000S sedan is an excellent value. Now, for a limited time, your Audi dealer is making exceptional deals on an excellent selection of 1986 5000S sedans.
Center of the Twin Cities, News 11 with Paul Majors, Diana Pierce, Tom Ryther on sports, and meteorologist Paul Douglas.
Good evening. Topping tonight's News 11, a rebuttal from ex-Human Rights Commissioner Linda Johnson.
She and a co-worker have been fired by the governor for what he calls improper conduct involving expense reports.
As Alan Costantini tells us, leading a team report, Johnson lashed out today in her own defense.
I am not a thief.
With those words, fired Human Rights Commissioner Linda Johnson began an hour-long defense of her actions as a state official. With Deputy Walter Barwick at her side, Johnson attacked Perpich's primary opponent, George Latimer, for criticizing her department, but said she is not angry at Perpich.
I think that it's because of the political environment, and I think I said that before. I was extremely disappointed that this situation would allow a decision to be made for political instead of administrative purposes.
Yesterday, Governor Rudy Perpich fired Johnson and her deputy Walter Barwick, saying internal investigation showed both had overcharged the state in their expense accounts. Johnson says media coverage of her travel activities were inaccurate and says hostile union members supplied that information. She is considering legal action to restore her credibility.
We're talking about my career that I need to have as a single parent to support my 2 children. And when we're talking about issues like that, I need legal advice.
Johnson says she is very concerned that Perpich might place her department under the Attorney General's office. She says the department is working as it is. Janet Mason says there was no great sorrow in the Human Rights Department today.
Minnesota Department of Human Rights.
The mood here at the State Human Rights Department has been upbeat ever since employees found out that Commissioner Linda Johnson had been fired.
I felt very relieved. A lot of tension just drained out of my body.
Joanne Madaw is just one of the department's many employees who's been critical of the way Johnson ran the department. The biggest complaint has been over a quota system where each enforcement officer had to close the books on a certain number of cases each month. Madaw didn't get a pay raise this year because she didn't meet the rigid quota. Madaw says Johnson was more interested in quantity than quality.
If you have to have so many closed every month, you do not have time to work on the complex cases. And some of them might take a week or 2 weeks just doing one case, and we did not have that kind of time.
And so what would happen to those cases?
They would sit.
The new acting commissioner, Jane Khalifa, says she will be examining the entire management staff, budget and department policies, including the quota system.
But I do think that that's an area that has to be seriously looked at. The resources that are available to address the volume of complaints that the department receives. And so that's one of the areas I'll be looking at.
The problems in this department won't go away overnight just because there's a new temporary commissioner. But at least employees now feel they have a boss who's willing to meet those problems head on. Janet Mason, News 11, St. Paul.
Khalifa says she plans to replace Deputy Commissioner Walter Barwick as soon as possible, and the replacement could come from outside the Human Rights Department.
The Marigold Ice Cream Recall has been expanded tonight to include a brand found at Dairy Queen stores. Officials say Dairy Queen hard pack ice cream from its Minnesota and Wisconsin outlets may also be contaminated with bacteria. Consumers with Dairy Queen hard pack ice cream called Queen's Choice should return the product to a Dairy Queen outlet for a refund. All lot numbers are being recalled. Meanwhile, Marigold is getting new uncontaminated ice cream back onto store shelves in the Twin Cities. The company's Rochester plant is working overtime to refill store supplies. Most area grocers now have at least some of the products back in stock. And there's criticism tonight on how the recall was handled. Federal officials say that they knew of the contamination 6 days before the recall was made public. They say they waited to inform customers while Marigold met with officials in Washington on the matter. We'll have more on that tonight at 10.
A flurry of legal activity marked developments today in the Mounds View pipeline case. Suits and countersuits were filed in the case stemming from last month's Williams pipeline explosion. Both Mounds View and Ramsey County sued to keep Williams from repairing the line, while Williams filed suit claiming that only the federal government has jurisdiction in the case. The judge agreed the suits can be transferred to federal court. Meanwhile, Williams has agreed not to take action on the pipeline until at least next week.
Minneapolis police are warning tonight that some scam artists are ripping off elderly folks to the tune of at least $15,000 so far. Police say the men pretend to be bank officers and talk their victims into giving them money to transfer to another bank. The con artists pocket the money instead. Police are searching for them tonight. And a late-night police raid in Minneapolis has broken up an alleged bootleg operation. Our Sunrise reporter Carolyn Marinan has exclusive details.
Police! Police! Put your hands on the wall. Turn around.
The Minneapolis Vice Squad busted an alleged bootlegging operation overnight at 1118 Harmon Place. Police say the man inside this apartment has been selling alcohol illegally for over a year. He's also been arrested before. A search warrant allowed police to come in here and look for the evidence they need to put him out of business. Besides a gun, they recovered some stolen items. The alcohol investigators were looking for was just down the hall in a locked room. Inside there were cases of liquor and beer. And even while police loaded up the contraband, potential customers were still wandering in.
Why'd you put your hands up on the wall for what? Because I told you to. That's why. Spread your legs. Spread your legs.
Police confiscated a syringe from one man who came into the building. He was also wanted on a warrant, so he was taken to jail. The alleged bootlegger was also brought to jail and charged with selling alcohol illegally. Carolyn Marinan, News 11, Minneapolis.
The suspected bootleg liquor dealer is free on bail tonight. The other is still in custody.
A rather embarrassing fact has come to light at the University of Minnesota after more than 30 years. This is how visitors to the Hughes Art Museum have seen one of the more famous paintings in the collection, a 1928 work by Georgia O'Keeffe called Oriental Poppies. But lo and behold, this is how the painting is supposed to be seen, according to new information dug up by the museum director. But lo and behold, this is how the painting will continue to be seen, at least for the next week or so, while university officials mull over actually correcting the error.
Yeah, I thought something was wrong.
You think it'd be just easier to turn it sideways and just do it?
Dispense with it. Coming up, an uplifting experience for some busy Boy Scouts.
And a big cleanup job on the side of a fuse spill. We'll be right back.
When Slumberland puts together a bedding package, chances are no one's going to beat it. Right now, we'll give you an outstanding price on a quality Serta extra firm mattress and box spring. Just $178 for the twin set, $238 for the full set, $288 for the queen set, $368 for the king set, and that's not all. You'll also get a solid metal bed frame, pillows, and a complete set of linens when you buy the Serta mattress and box spring on sale at Slumberland. Can you beat that? I doubt it.
$4.99 down and drive it home right now at Hopkins Dodge. 300 cars and trucks, they all must go. Omni America or Ram 50, your choice, just $115 a month. Charger, only $149 a month. All just $4.99 down. A low down payment, a low monthly payment. Plus, Lancer ES, 5.5% financing or $1,500 cash back. So don't wait. Omni America or Ram 50, either one, just $115 a month. $4.99 down. Only at Hopkins Dodge. Don't miss it.
Presenting the Great Minnesota Get-Together, showcasing masterpieces of local artists, artisans, and virtuosos. A summer symposium of skills, fanciful diversions, and culinary delights for all. Truly entertainment in a class by itself. The one and only Minnesota State Fair. August 21st through Labor Day.
In June, we got a new sister. It's a girl. In July, we got our teeth looked at. In August, we're getting our eyes checked. So we're going to Pearl. Lately, my dad squints. I don't have any problems. Mom says that's the best time to go to Pearl. I like August. Lots of frogs around.
August is Family Eye Care Month at Pearl. Come in and make a purchase and get your free Eye Care Club card. Good for future savings.
A chlorine spill disrupted life this morning in one area of St. Paul. It happened at the Dixie Chemical Company as workers were transferring liquid chlorine from a boxcar to a huge glass tank. One worker was injured from inhaling the fumes. The Dixie building near University and Highway 280 was evacuated along with some nearby homes. Things were back to normal, though, by late this morning after the spill was cleaned up.
Workers in Osseo, Wisconsin are on the scene of a fuel oil spill tonight, trying to find out the extent of damage to the environment. Eric Olson of our Wisconsin Bureau has that story.
They are drilling for oil in Osseo, Wisconsin. These guys know the oil is down there. They just aren't sure where it is. Somewhere under the sandy soil, there is 7,000 gallons of fuel oil. The oil leaked out of this fuel tank. The tank is owned by the Higley Oil Company, and the tank is over 50 years old. Corrosion ate its way through and broke a small hole in the tank. The oil seeped into the ground, and it has to be found soon.
We're going to go into the groundwater. We're going to soil sample to the groundwater. We're going to go approximately 6 to 7 feet into the groundwater.
The groundwater is about 20 feet down. Each time this two-man team drills a hole, the soil that comes up is examined, checked for the smell of oil, then bottled and numbered. So far, the groundwater has not been affected by the spill, but more will be known as more testing is done.
Looks like it's going pretty good, but it's really too early to tell.
Folks in Osseo are being told to check their drinking water for the smell of oil. So far, there haven't been any complaints, but that could change, especially if that giant oil pond under the ground starts to move before it's cleaned up. In Osseo, Eric Olson, News 11, the Wisconsin Bureau.
Groundwater in the area will also be tested around the spill. Results on that will take about 2 weeks.
The drought disaster down south will be a bit easier for some to get through thanks to some Minnesota Boy Scouts. The youngsters loaded hay in Jordan today to be sent to farmers in the south whose cattle herds are starving. Some 40 Scott and Carver County farmers donated the hay, which the Scouts loaded into boxcars for the trip to North Carolina.
Still to come, the Yuppies hardware store is up for sale. The latest on Brookstone's dilemma from Mary Stuckey in Dollars and Cents.
And Paul Douglas says Mother Nature is about to make up for those rained-out weekends. His forecast in just a minute.
Six kids. Count them. Buying their clothes could put us into bankruptcy. But thank goodness for Burlington Coat Factory. Their selections are unbelievable. Their savings just fantastic. Burlington has everything for my entire gang, from jeans and tops to suits and dresses, in every size, from my youngest to my oldest. Same brands I see in better stores. Okay, kids, what's your favorite place for clothes?
Burlington Coat Factory!
Who sets the pace in automotive excitement? Pontiac. From Grand Am to Trans Am, America's roads belong to Pontiac. Who sets the pace in automotive excitement? Pontiac. Among the hottest selling cars in General Motors' 86 lineup. Who sets the pace in automotive excitement? Pontiac. Get low 5.9 annual percentage rate GMAC financing on any new Pontiac 6000 or Fiero. Length of finance contract is limited. Now, for pace-setting excitement, who should you see? Your 17 Greater Metropolitan Pontiac dealers today.
Come check out Sears' biggest Nike shoe sale of the year. Save $10 on Nike's Conditioner aerobic shoe. Or try this for size. $5 off Nike jogging shoes for the whole family. And whether you look high or low, the one to look for is Nike's Penetrator. Now $7 off. All these savings, all these Nikes. There's more for your life during our new century.
Series
serious trouble. 99.9% of my business is done over the phone.
Effective immediately.
It's got to be cost effective and it's got to be clear.
U.S. Sprint is the lowest priced major long distance company in America.
That's what I need.
Lower than AT&T, lower than MCI.
Well, we're talking about big bucks.
The best overall savings.
Super.
And if you become a Sprint Charter customer during our biggest sale ever, you could save even more. So call now and find out more about U.S. Sprint.
Buy it.
Around 11 Country tonight, an exhibit for the explorer in all of us. It's a new display honoring the Will Steger expedition to the North Pole last spring. The Science Museum display includes maps of the long trek and items used by the explorers on their adventure. And this guy travels everywhere with a trunk. And today his travels took him to PP Plaza in downtown Minneapolis. The elephant visit was a courtesy of the folks from the Renaissance Festival, which opens on Saturday. And at Rosedale, shoppers turned munchers today, the annual Food and Beverage Festival. Food dealers are showing what they can cook up to delight tasters who visit them all by Sunday.
We were doing some munching in the backyard between shows tonight. Nice barbecue going on.
Excellent food out there. The weather is cooperating to a T.
Perfect barbecue weather.
Looks real nice for the next couple of days, too. No matter what your alibi, if you have something lined up for your backyard, the weather's going to cooperate. That was not the case earlier. Doppler picked up some big boomers this afternoon. We want to start this off at about 1 this afternoon or so, and you can see it didn't look too ominous around midday, but watch how these showers move to the east and fire it up into some big thunderstorms in and around the Twin Cities. Now we want to zoom in, take a closer look at those thunderstorms as they were moving through the Twin Cities area. Some of them did produce small hail, gusty winds, and very heavy downpours. They only lasted about 20-30 minutes. The heaviest activity is now moving to the east into Wisconsin, and if you have something planned this evening, I think you're going to get it in. Live Doppler picking up the heaviest activity now east of Balsam Lake. Some strong thunderstorms around Hastings, one biggie up around White Bear Lake. Nothing too terribly ominous west of the cities. These showers are petering out. And again, I think your backyard plans are not in any grave danger this evening. In fact, it looks like a good evening for a backyard barbecue. And we're having a doozy out here in the backyard here at Channel 11. This is the 4th annual Muscular Dystrophy Appreciation Party in the backyard. In fact, to do justice, we're going to switch from the ground camera to our famous Roof Cam 11 to give you a bigger view of what all this looks like out here in the backyard. The folks from MD are tossing the party for employees of Channel 11. This is to thank us, I guess, in advance for what we're going to be doing at the Labor Day weekend. Of course, that is the big Jerry Lewis MD telethon coming up. You can only see it right here on Channel 11. And this is our pre-MD Labor Day bash in the backyard. Brats and hamburgers and lots of stuffed people. Right?
That's right.
Yeah?
Absolutely. We're stuffed. We're not eating anymore. We've eaten already.
Save a little for me, okay? Here's what's happening in the backyard. Earlier today, we had enough sunshine for a high temperature of 80 degrees, a low of 62, 6,600ths of an inch of rain down at the airport. Sunrise bright and early, partly sunny and 75. I like that roof cam, don't you? A west wind at 18 miles an hour. Currently, the dew point 63, the humidity 66% of the pressure 2970. And it's currently holding steady. Here's what the upper level winds look like. They're basically blowing from west to east, but there's a wrinkle of cold air in the upper atmosphere responsible for our thundery weather this afternoon. Welcome rains drenching much of the southeast. Afternoon temperatures anywhere from 70 in the cities to 82 in Chicago, 83 Atlanta, and 89 degrees last hour in downtown Miami. It's in the 80s to our west over the Dakotas, and this is the air mass we are going to be enjoying tomorrow. It looks absolutely beautiful. Tomorrow, right through the weekend, mostly sunny skies. This week, cool front could spawn a shower in northern Minnesota late Saturday, but nothing ominous showing up on the weather map. Here's the 11 outlook for tonight. An isolated shower this evening. Otherwise, gradual clearing, a low by morning. Generally speaking, in the low to mid 60s. And then for tomorrow, we're forecasting plentiful amounts of sunshine. A beautiful day, 82 to 87. And here's your 11 outlook for the next couple of days. Sunshine Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Highs anywhere from the upper 70s to the low 80s. Just a slight chance of a shower late Saturday afternoon. Isn't that right, Eric? Yeah. Okay, Eric Sorensen is currently gracing the backyard. He is the MD poster child for the Twin Cities. And with me also is Damon and Levitas? Livestad. Sorry about that. We do have something we want to do. We've been practicing all afternoon. Ready? 1, 2, 3. An official backyard salute. John and Diana, thank you, Paul. And thank them, too, for joining us.
You're in great company today.
Yeah. See you later.
Thanks.
Well, the first part of August has been a hot one for auto dealers. Mary Stuckey has that and more in tonight's Dollars and Cents. Mary?
Well, in general, John, auto sellers made up for some sagging sales in July in a big way this month, but not all car makers enjoyed the same success. Ford sales are up 25% from last year. Chrysler is up more than 15%, but American Motors pulled down the average with sales that plunged by more than 40% over last year, and General Motors was down more than 4%. Profit taking on the Dow today kept things on a pretty even keel. The Dow closed up 0.42 to 1844. Volume totaled about 123 million shares. If you've ever shopped at a Brookstone store, you probably have not forgotten the experience. And now the unusual hardware stores are up for sale. Brookstone wouldn't let us inside their store for fear of upsetting customers. So Kirsten Lindquist has the story from just outside the door.
Brookstone is the place folks go when they're looking for something unique, like a mosquito head net or a thermometer that someone nearly blind could read. Each product is carefully marked so that there's no confusion about what it's for, and samples can be tested right on the display floor. Last year, Brookstone and two other companies owned by Quaker Oats earned Quaker $260 million. But still, Brookstone and the others are now up for sale. A spokesman for Quaker Oats says this specialty retail shop, and there are more than 600 of them around the country, simply isn't a significant part of Quaker's business. Kirsten Lindquist, News 11.
That is a cut above your corner hardware store.
It looks like
Yeah.
it. My goodness. Okay, thanks, Mary. Coming up next, they arrived in a suitcase. Now they're ready for bigger and better.
And Tom Reither takes his sports out on a wing when News 11 continues.
Hi, I'm Barry ZeVan. In just a minute, we'll be playing Cash In on 11. The cash amount for this call is $111, and the word to remember is Atlantic. Atlantic for $111. Stay tuned. We may be calling you.
It's Toyota's all-out sellout. Your Toyota dealers have their biggest inventory of the year. They've got everything from economical Tercels to the top-of-the-line Cressidas, and they're challenged by the factory to sell them all by month's end. They're tearing up prices so you can make the best deal of the year. If you want financing, they want to help. But you'd better act fast. Trade-ins may never be worth more, and prices may never be lower. But hurry, you only have till month's end. See your Toyota dealer during his all-out sellout going on now.
August 15th, the mongoose is loose. Tom the Mongoose McCune and Coors go racing at the North Star Nationals. Coors is the one.
We're celebrating the biggest nationwide sale in Dutch Boy history. Right now, all over the country, quality Dutch Boy paint is on sale at incredible savings. It's our most spectacular paint sale ever. Hurry into your paint retailer because supplies are limited, and with prices as low as these, you don't want to miss out on a great value like this. The Dutch Boy nationwide paint sale. Prices so low they'll blow you away.
Save on Dutch Boy's Dirt Fighter latex flat paints, exterior or interior. Just $9.99 a gallon at Menards.
Okay, I have Mrs. Alderman on the line from St. Paul. Do you know the clue and the amount, Mrs. Alderman?
It's Atlantic, and it's $111.
Fantastic. Congratulations. You just cashed in.
You don't know how happy I am. My sister's dying, and we needed money for a trip.
I'm very sorry. Well, but we're happy that you won. Please stay on the line. We'll verify your address. We make 2 cash in on 11 calls a day, Monday through Friday. You could win $11,000 to $11,000 if you know the clue and the amount when I call. Keep watching TV 11, and you could be our next winner, and I hope you are, just as Mrs. Alderman just was.
In my business, Fortress by VSI means locks. You can get instant privacy with their designer entry style or security with their single-cylinder deadbolt model. Easy to install, tough to tamper with. Both are on sale for only $4.96 at Builders Square. They've got it all. Lowest prices guaranteed, unbelievable selection, expert service. Buy your VSI Fortress locks at Builders Square and you'll never get locked out.
Builders Square, a square deal that's right for you.
There's some fishing up north that's the pits, literally. State wildlife officials have been stocking flooded mine pits with game fish, and tomorrow Governor Perpich will try his hand at nabbing some tasty trout from a mine pit near Gilbert. It's part of the governor's long-range program to boost tourism in our state. Also to boost his catch, it sounds like.
Absolutely. He should have Tom Zananko, our fishing pro, with him, and he'd be sure to have a catch.
And of course, you're always very, very popular when it comes to catching the fish, right, Joe? Tommy?
You mind pulling this right out of my... Oh! But she's right. She's right. The Twins departed Anaheim, California and headed for Seattle last night after winning 2 of 3 from the division-leading California Angels. However, Gene Mauch's Angels still have things going their way with only Texas in reach of them. The Rangers are just 2 games off the pace, while the defending world champion Kansas City Royals are all but out of it. Both Chicago and Oakland have been disappointing, right in there with the Twins. Seattle is where most experts thought they would be. Now here is how the Twins won last night at California. Who else but Ken Hrbek and Kirby Puckett teaming up for a pair of home runs. Top of the 5th inning, Puckett's went to the opposite field, his 23rd of the year, and the Twins led 3-0. And then Ken Hrbek in the same inning sends a Vern Rule pitch to right field, a solo shot. That's Herbie's 24th of the year, and it was 4-0. The Twins defeated division-leading California 6-2 last night at Anaheim. As I said, they will be at Seattle tonight. Meanwhile, the Detroit Tigers have come from nowhere to being a contender for the American League East title. They entered the game today against Chicago, trailing Boston by only 5 games. But they lost to Chicago today, 8-2 in that game. 8th inning, Chicago leading 5-2. The White Sox' Tim Hewlett launches a solo shot right there, and that made it 6-2. Later, Ron Hassey laced a double to right center. And watch Kirk Gibson. Does he play this like a guy who gets like $1 million a year? Give me a break. Off the wall, and Detroit lost it by a score of 8-2. Today in Mankato, the Vikings practice showed a new face as well as a familiar face. This marked the return of Buster Rhymes after missing over 1 week of practice because of a slight hamstring pull. Now the new face is USFL refugee Mike Lush, a defensive back who was unsuccessful in his first try with the NFL, but he's happy to get a chance with the Vikes.
A guy like me, I'm a free agent who went through the NFL first time, fighting all the politics and fighting a numbers game, and never really getting a chance to really show what you could do. But I'm happy to have the opportunity to play for the Vikings.
More from camp tonight. The Cambridge Airport will be buzzing with some spectacular flying this weekend as the Minnesota International Air Show hits town for the 2nd straight year. We got a preview today at the Anoka Airport as some of those wizards of the air showed us their stuff. Now this is a classy group. I saw them last year. They're known as the Blackhawks out of Kansas City. All of these guys are former military fighter pilots. And the things that they will show you in those planes, you will not believe it. You'll have wing walking, stunt flying, and the kind of piloting that you only dream about. And they're just flying in stationary formation right there. But believe me, go see that show at Cambridge Airport over the weekend, and you'll not believe what they do and half the other group. Congratulations to Mike Antonovich. Used to be a Gopher, former high school player in Minnesota, a great star, and now the hockey coach at St. Agnes.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, our congratulations. Thanks, Tom.
The fairy tale about the ugly duckling that becomes a beautiful swan is playing itself out in real life now, right here in 11 country. The ugly ducklings arrived here from Alaska in suitcases 2 months ago when they were still eggs. The Trumpeter Swans being relocated here to put their species back in Minnesota. And now they're old enough to move into new housing, but still young enough to be pretty ugly, as Ken Speak reports.
They looked pretty good floating there on the water in their indoor home. Kind of stately even. But when they got picked up and put in the pickup for the short journey to their new home, that's when they looked downright ungainly. Kind of like a 13-year-old I was real close to 28 years ago. Big flapper feet, big noses, bills, bodies as big as Canada geese. And these birds are only 6 weeks old. What they didn't realize, even at this point, was the enjoyment they were in for. Yep, biologist Steve Kittleson was doing them a big favor by putting them into an outdoor home. There are 39 Trumpeter Swan cygnets in this whole group. They're keeping them in separate cages because birds raised together won't breed with one another. So the DNR folk have built 6 cages for the 39 with the idea that they'll make more Trumpeter Swans when they're released in 1988. And look at them, acting like this is the first good bath they've had ever since they can remember. And biologist Kittleson throwing in that waterweed, and the cygnets acting like this is the first real natural meal they've ever had. Yep, these Alaskan Trumpeter Swans are being treated pretty well down here in Minnesota. But that's all right. After all, they're a big part of the future wild Trumpeter Swan flock. Ken Speak, News 11, Anoka County.
Ugly now, but soon to be beautiful.
They're kind of pretty now. We'll see you again at 10 o'clock tonight.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Shop the Red Hot Sale at Menards for closeout savings on artificial grass. Indoors or out, artificial grass is great, and Menards still has acres of turf in stock. Save on styles and colors for every home. We're closing it out now at our lowest prices of the year. Save on our lawn green turf, on sale now for just 98 cents a lineal foot. Don't miss it. The terrific turf closeout sale this week at Menards.
We're helping you build America's heartland at Menards.
Through Saturday, look for the Dodge truck in the sky during your participating nearby Dodge dealers' giant 3-day truck clearance. The all-new midsize 87 Dakota pickups are here. The 86s have got to go. So for 3 days only, we're dropping prices on our entire inventory of nearly 586 trucks, vans, wagons, and Ram Chargers. Plus, right now, get 5.5% financing, over $1,150 cash back on every new Ram Tough 250 and 350 pickup in stock. But our truck clearance ends Saturday, so hurry to your nearby Dodge dealers.